Welcome to today's Fireside Chat with Jesse. I am joined today by Keith Smith, President of Equipment and Franchise Finance for Star Hill Financial. Thanks for joining me, Keith.
Thanks for having me, Jesse.
No, absolutely, man. And love the background. It's a great fireplace.
Yeah, real fire. You got a real fireplace.
That's real legit. This is Amazon.
Yeah, that's the difference of New Jersey, although it's 70 degrees out, so it's nice today, but that still keeps the bugs away. Or later when I'm smoking a cigar by it, it's nice ambience.
Absolutely, man. So for those people who might not be familiar with you, Keith, do you mind just talking about your career in equipment finance to date?
Sure. So I've started in equipment finance right out of college, 1996. Started with a company, Oryx Credit Alliance, worked myself through credit and collections there, and kind of never got out of equipment finance. The last 12 years, up until September of 2020, I was with Sterling National Bank. I was the president of their equipment finance and franchise finance division. Was with that bank when it was $2.8 billion, all the way up to, I think, about $32 billion through lots of acquisitions and so forth. And, great people there. We took the book when I took over $150 million. It was probably $2.3 billion when I left combined. Very proud of that work. Worked with great people. Great experience for 12 years. Now I'm currently with Star Hill Financial. We are a WB enterprise. My partner is the CEO and founder, Hollis Bufford. She started Star Hill, I think, 2016. She became an independent lessor. She saw an opportunity to really help some vendor programs in the minority space. She had been in equipment finance for probably close to 10 years at that point. Hollis and I had worked together since 2010. So when she got in business in 16, I think I funded their first deal at Sterling. It was pretty neat. And, we had a very intimate relationship from the business side in and out to see how the company was growing. She kind of always talked about, I think we'd be great partners. When we hit the pandemic, chaos ensued in everybody's life, and we were sitting on couches at home worrying if we are going to make it to the next day. She tapped me and said, look, I know this is a crazy time to think about it, but, while you're home and working, and as we're going to come out of this, start thinking about the partnership again. And really, as we got closer and closer and seeing how the world was changing, how some institutions were changing, a friend of mine had always said, sometimes chaos creates opportunity for the right situation. And I looked at it that way and said, you know what, this might be a great time to do this. As crazy as people thought I was. Hollis was there the whole time, said, this is going to work. Come on, come over. And 7 months later, I'm starting to, really feel that way. I definitely know. I knew day two was the right decision. After 12 years of being institutionalized in a bank, it was nice to become an independent. Everything has their trials and tribulations, but so far so good.
That's interesting. And I too, around a similar time frame, decided to move on from a job for almost 10 years.
Right.
Switching in the middle of a pandemic, you're just like, is this the right thing to do? But like you said, it's like once you kind of rip that Band-Aid off and you make your decision, it's like, yep, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. And I think if anything, you not to be, philosophical here, but when you had the pandemic, and I guess technically we're still in it, you start to realize what do you want to do with your life, the importance of things. And at my age, my children's and family's age, it was, if I was going to make this move, it was either now or wait, 7 or 8 years when they got through college. And, that's a long time to wait. And then my age would be different then, and energy. So it kind of just said, you know what, stars are aligning, makes sense. So I gave it a go.
So what's that like, Keith, going from, you know, a big bank that, you know, you built that from 150 to over 2 billion.
Right.
You know how many? I'm guessing maybe 100 employees. What's that like? Well, I guess a twofold question. What's it like going from a bank to an independent? And then what is that like for you and Hollis, kind of, you know, co-founder, president? You wash dishes, you you take the trash out.
Well, it's funny. So, you know, the little secret is, you know, even at Sterling and the other institutions I was at, it wasn't overly employed. There wasn't a ton of employees. So there was a, you know, kind of player coach I've always been involved. You know, I maintained some customers myself, even when I became the president of division, even as we went, you know, over hurdles, 500 million, over $1 billion, because that's who they were used to coming to. So it wasn't going to be that big of a transition from the work perspective as the workload and, you know, gray hair load of, oh my God, where we, you know, it's me now. I don't have salesmen bringing in deals and, you know, where, yes, I get to make the credit decision, but am I making the right credit decision? Because we're going to live with this decision. You know, that's where the stressors change a little bit, you know. Also, the biggest thing is, you know, in your world is the systems. You know, what systems do you have where, you know, you say, okay, we need this module, 25,000, 50,000. You know, you sit down and do an executive summary of why you need it. IT signs off on it, goes to a committee depending on the dollar size, and it's approved. Now it's like, well, holy cow, it costs $25,000, and you know, and just to get the guy to get on the phone and talk to us. So the biggest thing is that, and that's, you know, that's the hard part. You know, how do you deal with that? How do you work around it? You know, I'm, so to speak, now on the other side of the phone as an independent. Probably in my career, we purchased over $10 billion of paper and moved it, but always on the buy side, right? Always the person, yes, no, this rate works. Now, you know, we're going to the other side and the banks are saying, you know, do you want to buy this deal, et cetera? And that's a big difference. You know, it takes a little bit more patience because, you know, for 12 years, I was the decision maker. Yes, no, yes, no. Obviously with credit folks behind me, but do we want to do the deal? And you know, luckily my institution always gave me those flexibilities to make those decisions. And now you're talking to folks that, you know, sometimes aren't the decision maker, and you're going, okay, it's a great deal, but you got to see it my way. So that's the different part. You know, the internal sell to the external sell is the major difference that I'm finding. It's a lot of fun being an independent though, because there's a lot of transactions that are just maybe not straight equipment finance or franchise finance. It may be real estate driven, maybe equity buyouts that could be former customers or people that we know business, you know, through business channels that say, can you take a look at it? And we get to say, yeah, I don't get to say, sure, let me hand you to this person. It's sure, let me take a look at it. Let us work on it. Let's see if we, you know, make sense and we can put a deal together. That's the fun part so far. That's the part I enjoy. Doing different aspects of business that, you know, where my job was equipment or franchise. And if it fell an inch or two outside of those boxes, find the person in the bank to do it and hand it off. Now we can see that through, and that's neat. That's a cool part.
No, and that's a good point, because, you know, when you talk to different bank executives over the years, it's like you're up against these deals with everyone, and you're negotiating against fractions of basis points, and it's
right.
Very, okay, what am I really doing? I can't get creative with different structures. Maybe we get a couple different financial institutions as an independent. It's like, well, I can maybe use this guy for this portion of this, and so on. And that to me just seems like it'd be more of a challenge as opposed to just the regular, you know,
right
deal.
But it's fun. Keeps you thinking, you know. And as an independent, you know, additionally, we are WB, you know, we are a woven business enterprise, which, you know, when you're talking to customers and you realize that, you know, the diversity spend isn't just a headline. This is what they're focused on. And, you know, House has done a great job, you know, begin national certification, city certification, state certification, because it's important to our end user, our customers, our partners, that we are legit, you know, and I tease her. I said, yeah, you're not just a head in an office. You're in there doing the work. And at 7, 8 o'clock at night, we're exchanging emails and calls. I laugh because again, intimately knowing Hollis for that 10 years, I knew I was walking into an established company and again, not just a figurehead, somebody that knows the business, understands it and loves it. So that's the other neat part. To have that partner with you is tremendous.
No, absolutely. And I have yet to meet Hollis. I've heard good things. I'm looking forward to meeting her one day. But yeah, I mean, someone who challenges you as much as you can challenge them. That's great.
Yeah, I tease her saying she's in Connecticut in an office. She does she's the chief cook and bottle washer in the sense of, my part of the business is, hey, grow it, look at different avenues. Like we brought in a franchise team, she takes care of a lot of the heavy load in the cash management, the HR, the systems, the lease payments for rent, all the stuff that you're like, man, I don't want to deal with that. She's dealing with it on top of dealing with customer base she has. So I tease her, said, we got to get you out more, even though I don't get out. She goes, sure, when you get out, I'll go out. So we're looking at, breaking her into more of the shows and things like that.
Perfect. Have you been on the road yet this year from a business perspective?
I drove, if that counts. I drove to a partner up in Connecticut, so it was about 2 hours away. So that was my in their visit in their facility, taking a tour of it, all the good stuff. But to get on, we haven't not got on a plane yet.
Hey, that's a daunting road there, man. I do not I used to live in the city and commute to Stamford, and then I lived in Jersey. Went over there, and it's like, I don't.
Well, I can tell you, traffic's back. That's for sure. 6, 7 months ago, that we could have breezed up and down, but now it's back to a packed I-95. So the Connecticut Turnpike's no fun.
No.
But it was good to get out and see customers and talk again.
No, and then so it'll be interesting. I'm assuming you guys will probably be at the annual this year.
Yes.
So
yes.
It'll be interesting for both of us. Coming from a bank, Sterling used to put on big events, and you independents and different partners. And now, similar to when I was at LTI, they would have these big events, and they would be bringing service providers like JDR along.
Sure.
So now it's interesting to see on the other side of it, I guess, for both of us, how that kind of plays itself out.
Yeah, it's different, but I mean, that was the one of the things. Sterling, we dealt with a bunch of independents, and it was great. So a lot of them are good friends, and that was, I guess, the biggest thing I do love about the equipment world here is when I was stepping out to do this. People say, "Oh, let me know, I can help you." Do you mean it? And then the amount of calls I got, hey, what's going on? Anything I can do? Can you look at this? You want to show me some, some business? I'd love to see it. It wasn't just words. People, had actions behind it. And some of them were former coworkers at banks now doing tremendous, and I'm proud of that. And some were people that I had done business with over the years, and some were folks that, hey, I knew you, at Sterling, or I knew, you guys were doing some good things. We'd love to talk to you. So, that's one of the nice things. People say, why you stayed in equipment finance? Haven't really left. I branched into franchise, but a lot of it's the same people. It is because of that. It's a great group of people. So I look forward. Last year we didn't have shows, so I look forward to going, to the one in San Antonio in October. So.
No, and that raises a good point. And another reason why I like spending time with thought leaders like yourself in this industry is showcasing that to new people who are getting in, where
right.
What you put into this industry is what you get out of it. When I transitioned from LTI to JDR, I couldn't fathom the amount of people that were going to reach out and just say, hey, even though JDR's been in business for 20 years, they're like, what exactly do you guys do? Is there potential for us to do business? And, I love this space. I got in when I was 23, and I don't know if I'll ever.
Right. Yeah, I think we're both stuck.
But that's a good thing, though, because if you do the right thing, you'll be here forever.
Sure.
Wherever you go.
Sure. Yeah. So it's good. So the neat thing again, Star Hill, as a WB, we service a lot of industries. Not only, some of the larger companies that have the minority spend, state, local governments, federal, all that's an avenue we go down. And, really for those type of companies, I want to say we're equipment agnostic. It's really the credit driven end of the business there. And, from a deal size perspective, we have programs with a vendor finance company that we partner with them, and the deal size could be anywhere from 100,000 to 50 million. Really, sounds crazy, but it's really what is driven by that exposure on the direct side of the business. We do try to stay a little higher than that because the cost of doing business. But even that, if we know it's a customer potential, we'll look at 500,000 up to, again, depending on the credit, could be 50, 60, 70 million. So it's a wide range, and people kind of raise your eyebrows. But, we're really dealing with the customer base in that world. We really, don't want to turn them away because they're a great credit, very financeable. And we know there's a lot of business down the road. A lot of times it's educating them, what the minority spend means to them in their budget, and then they get it. They want to utilize it. So then it's, what can I lease? What can you finance? And you're like, man, look around your office to outside on the road. There's not too much we can't finance for you. So that's kind of, the neat side. We also, we're in the middle market for traditional lending. That's something, customers that we've just known and dealt with over the years, and could be anywhere from construction, food processing, machine tools, office technology type equipment, healthcare, really the gamut, waste management. Those are all really the industries we'll focus on. IT, as far as equipment, again, ticket size there. It's really what's commensurate to the credit. We try to stay north of 500,000. On the franchise side of the business, we're mainly QSR or personal services, which I consider QSR. Whether it's your Burger King, your Popeyes, your Domino's, Little Caesars, those type, you name it, you see it on a commercial. That's kind of where we play. We have a nice little team there that we brought on in April, 2 sales leaders that former GE Bridge funding folks that are, strong players, so we'll stay in that realm. We'll branch out into Planet Fitness type. Again, I consider that a quick serve, $20 a month. People don't get rid of their gym memberships. They just kind of let it roll. And they do give you a good product for the value. It really is a value product to a, Massage Envy, a European wax center, that again, very sterile environment for the cost value. People love it. So we've seen in those institutions, especially on the quick serve restaurants, the QSR space, they've always proven to be recession proof, right? People are still going to go to McDonald's, Popeyes, Domino's, stuff like that, even when times are hard, because there's a value there and it's not a huge cost. But pandemic wise, people went to comfort food. People went to who could order DoorDash and what came and delivered to them. They didn't want to go sit down and eat. They wanted it brought to their house. Who had a drive-through? So we really saw that market. And what made us decide to get into it was it's a little underserved right now, pun intended, a little underserved. So that was when we jumped into feet first. I mean, I had experience. I started the group at Sterling in 2016, grew it, liked the space, was always in our plan for maybe 2022, but it just kept creeping into this year. And finally, when I sat down with Hollis and some of the other folks we used to, help advise us and laid out the plan and said, this makes sense. Hollis looked at me and said, this business, if you think it's a moneymaker and we can, make some quick traction, let's jump in. And so far, so good. We funded, we've probably funded close to 10 million in under 45 days of being in that industry, in that sector, and, have a nice pipeline and again, brought on quality folks and the 2, Greg McNally and Mike Orlov that are, well known in the industry. They know it. They have a great customer base, great reputation. that's really with Star Hill, how we're building it. I always tell people we're top heavy. We have a lot of senior people, you know, that are willing to roll up their sleeves and work. You know, that's really who we are. People say, what's your value add? I went through that today with someone. I said, me, Hollis is my value add. Zerka Gould, who we brought over from TIAA, she's my value add. Mike and Greg, Chris Welbrock, who was a senior underwriter for me at Sterling, had left, and then I grabbed them from another institution because these are all people that we have hundreds of years experience combined. And for a small company, that's valuable. It's not a bunch of not that there's anything wrong with this. A bunch of college kids run around with somebody guiding them. I know I can hand something off, and they get it. They don't need me half the time. They're running through the wall without me. So maybe our model's a little different in that sense. That when you look at the resumes of the people, it's for a smaller company, it's pretty heavy.
Well, and especially in these times here where you're not in an office to be able to train someone coming right out of college, right? You want to rely on those senior people to at least build a book, and then down the line, maybe you can, bring some younger people in there. But how many employees are you guys up to now?
8.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. So it is. It's fun. It's fun. And we got to 8 quickly by bringing on the 3 folks in April. So we doubled our size in that sense. But, we're still looking to grow. We already, have mapped out the continuation Q3 or Q4 where we think we're in another person, which is fun. That's the fun part. When we first started talking about it, and Hollis and I were planning, and I was like, well, I think we need this person, that person. I could see, she's looking at me going, all you're doing is spending my money, joking around. And I said, no, we're going to have the business. We're going to need to do it. Trust me. But she's a great partner. Now, whenever I say, look, here's where we are. I think we need to add the person. She's like, I know you have the person in mind already. Let's talk to him or her. Let's go get it. Let's get it done. So very fortunate that way.
That's fantastic. And there's a method to the madness. I mean, it's a similar situation that I walked into. However, like I said, the company was 20 years old, but it's like the growth aspirations that we have now of taking us from, I wouldn't say JDR would maybe bring on 2-3 new clients a year. We have 5 so far in the first 6 months, and we'll end up with probably 12 to 15 this year.
Wow.
It's like, okay, well, then how are you going to support this? And fortunately enough, I've, being in the industry for 16 years, you have those names, and they're on standby, just waiting for that phone call, and that's fantastic.
Well, that goes back to what we were saying about, really, truly people supporting each other, through this. And I think I've always said to people, I try to be fair. You might not agree with me on things in the past, and but I've always tried to be fair, and at least they said that guy's a jerk. They'll say he's a fair jerk. That was, and I used a different word than jerk. If you know me, I'm purely a Jersey, New York guy. There's a lot of F-bombs and curses in there, but and I think it comes full circle. Not to say it's karma, but I think people always say, look, he handled things the right way, he managed himself, was always honest. Let's give him or her a shot. And that's the biggest thing I try to teach my kids too. Don't shy away, be upfront and honest with people, and it'll work out for you.
No, that's a good point. I mean, in this industry, there's enough to go around. That's for sure. And if you do it the right way, because my son asked me that a couple weeks ago. He goes, why would you refer that to your competitor? And I'm like, it just doesn't make sense. I'm like, they're a better fit to go somewhere else. And
right.
It'll come back, and the prospect appreciates that. And if things don't work out, they don't work out. But
sure,
plenty to go around.
Sure.
So thank you for all of that information on Star Hill. I've been asking people a little fun fact about themselves. So, you're from Jersey. Like, what else makes you tick?
I'm terrible, at this stuff, but I guess a fun fact, and especially as I'm getting older and dealing with my kids and all the sports they play, is I played in the College World Series, in the Junior College World Series out in Grand Junction, Colorado. And as I'm getting older and older, I feel like that was so much further away. But it's neat seeing my children play and some of the things. And my son, looked something up the other day, and he knew like my batting average in college. Going just Googling your name and going following the threads, and realizes colleges are putting stats up. So I thought that was kind of neat. I played in a College World Series. Not many people can say that. So that's about as fun as fact that clean that I can talk about here. So
that's fine. As much as YouTube says this isn't for children, because then you're not allowed to have comments.
Right. No, I know.
Once it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever.
So you may see my dog's head pop up. She's coming over to get petted. So
it's quite all right. I think you heard mine bark earlier. That's the joys of working from or doing these things from home.
Yeah. No, that is the fun stuff. She's very happy to be here now.
So you're going to take your son to Omaha one of these days for the CWS?
Yeah, maybe. Hopefully I'll get to see him play. A good friend of mine is the head assistant coach at UVA, and we were watching the other day, and I said, oh, that's so-and-so, and he's met him. And he says, oh, does he owe you a favor? Can he come recruit me? And I said, well, you're only in 6th grade. Let's get there. Let's get to high school first. So. But maybe, and my daughter is playing in the Nationals for 14U softball in July down in Maryland. So we'll be, we were watching the Women's College World Series. So that was pretty cool too. So
yeah. My cousin who lives not too far from you in Upper Saddle River, his son's high school team just won the state championship.
Oh, okay.
Don't know.
That's St. Joe's?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So I went to the rival school that they beat, Don Bosco, but that's okay.
Sorry, did not.
That's okay. No, that's how I knew his shows. No, great school. As you get out, you support both. I mean, so
at some point, I just don't know where they go from there. It's like once you win state, do you move on to anything else, or
no? That's it. That's it. Just like there's no playoff. It's they have like national rankings, like high school football does too. But that's it's a feat. That was a good feat for them.
Right. Well, Keith, I really appreciate you spending some time with me this evening for you, afternoon for me. I look forward to seeing you coming up in San Antonio. And before then, hopefully at this event that we have coming up in it's almost like
August.
You want to say like North Jersey, right? Because it's right on the border.
Yeah, see, Jersey people would say Rockland County is not New Jersey. So it's Rockland County, New York.
I'm from the real upstate New York, so when people are like, "Oh, it's upstate," I'm like, "That's not upstate." Like,
see, 10 minutes from me is upstate in Rockland County. It's just the way. And that's because my family were originally from the city, so when you were going to the country, it was Rockland County. So,
yeah, that's fair. All right, man. Thanks again for your time, Keith. Look forward to seeing you soon, man.
Thank you.